Hello and welcome back to the weekly episode of Football Fantastico. This is our third episode. You're probably thinking Morgan sounds different. Yep, that's because I'm hosting this week. Morgan's had to sadly miss this shoot due to personal reasons, but he will be back soon. He hasn't left us just yet. My name's Max. I'll be hosting today. You know me as the guy who does all the Serie A, but this week I'll also be doing Ligue 1 to help Morgan out. I'm, of course, joined by my two wonderful co-hosts. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
I'm Michael. Sorry for this abrupt pause, but yeah, some stuff's happened in Bundesliga. If you want to listen, then please follow the YouTube and subscribe to Spotify.
I am Ellis, and I will probably be rambling about Real Madrid again.
Are we surprised? So the first section we want to take you through was the news for this week. First little bit of news we have came from the Serie A, and that's that the League of Serie A has committed to stay in a 20-team league after 16 of the teams voted against reducing the league size to 18 teams. What's our thoughts on this?
I think it's for the lower end teams. It's an issue. Well, it's a good thing that it didn't happen because it's more revenue for them, and it just allows more coverage, more fans going to the big games. Like, for example, Luton going to Man City coming to Luton. It's more coverage, it's more money coming in for them, so it's a good thing they haven't, reformed to 18 teams instead of 20.
I know a few teams around Europe have changed their league sizes to smaller leagues, obviously in a main attempt to try and limit how many games teams plays, but I feel like that only really affects the top teams, and sort of lower down teams can struggle with losing revenue through games because obviously they have less games per season, whereas if you're, say, in a Serie A, if you're an Inter Milan, if you're a Juventus, where you're playing Champions League football or you're playing European football, you're guaranteed to have more games, so it seems like this would only benefit really bigger teams.
Yeah, player welfare and matters like player welfare and fixture congestion is quite important now.
Yeah, player welfare seems to be a huge focus now of many leagues and teams, so I'm glad they haven't done it because it feels like the big teams are trying to gain an advantage when they shouldn't, but it could obviously change in the future. We never know with these things, especially in Italy. Everything seems to be changing every 2 seconds, but as of now, Serie A is staying at 20 teams. Next little bit of news we have was Bayern Leverkusen's sporting director has said he's sure Xabi Alonso will stay on as manager next season. What's our thoughts on this? I like it, but I don't.
I don't think he'll continue that next season. We'll see, but I think his fairy tale run will come to an end with him winning the league, and he will either go to Bayern Munich, Liverpool, or Real Madrid.
I'd like to see him stay because he could sort of build his reputation up there and, spend a few years, maybe keep them in a title race for a few years, keep them in the top 4. They could be a consistent Champions League club, but I also want to see him on a bigger stage. I want to see him in one of the best teams in Europe. No disrespect to Leverkusen, but they don't have the same European power as, say, a Real Madrid or a Liverpool. And, I understand he's a new manager, he's a young manager, and people might think he hasn't really proven himself yet, but he's taken a team unbeaten in the Bundesliga. He battered Bayern Munich. He's, doing something we haven't seen for a while, so it's certainly exciting, but I'd be worried if he did stay on.
I think for him as well is that if he were to leave, I think it would make Leverkusen's search maybe difficult, but at the same time quite easy because they'll know what profile of manager they want. It's just who's available then, isn't it?
Yeah, so the last little bit of news we have for this week comes from Ligue 1, so we got a nice little spread across the leagues. Kolo Muani, the striker from PSG, has said he's disgusted. He'll always be remembered as the guy who missed the one-on-one in the World Cup final. Obviously talking about the one-on-one he had where he was through on goal and it was saved by Emi Martinez in the sort of the chaos period of the game where it felt like any team would attack and any team would score. Do you think it's a bit harsh that he should be remembered for just that moment? He was great in the World Cup final. He was one of the driving attacking factors to why France were able to get back in the game. And he's obviously had quite a big move this summer, going from Frankfurt to PSG. Is there any other players we can think of who remembered because of an incident or a mistake? And should we really hold something against a kid so young?
I think Baggio and Escobar are probably the two names that come to mind, who have sort of... Obviously, Baggio had a very, very good career, but, Escobar unfortunately lost his life from a mistake in the World Cup.
I don't think it'll be that severe this time, hopefully.
Yeah,
but
let's hope not.
There's also Loris Karius as well. Obviously, it ruined his career, and I think it a bit harsh on him because now people go, especially when he joined Newcastle and when he played in the League Cup final, everyone was going like, "Oh, he's going to throw the ball in the net." It sort of lost his reputation, and because now people just think him as the guy who made 2 mistakes in the Champions League final, rather than maybe a goalkeeper that played for Liverpool that did quite a decent job for him.
I think Kolo Muani's young enough; he can redeem himself. He's obviously a good player,
He's got a lot of probably chances to redeem himself. Like, how old is he? Like 22?
He's only like 24, 25.
25,
It's not like he's at the end of his career.
So he's got good probably 3 World Cups there. Possibly.
Oh yeah, minimum. And obviously with PSG, he's probably going to make a name for himself elsewhere. But yeah, that was our little bit of news for this week from Europe. Now we're going to be going over to the reviews of our leagues this week. So first of all, we'll go to La Liga and to Ellis.
So, shock horror, I'm going to be covering Real Madrid again. We've got the 4-0 dismantling over Girona over the weekend. It was really just boys against men, and it's probably the best display I've seen from Real Madrid in a while, to be honest, given the circumstances and the real stature of the game. It was first against second, and it was just a really, really good game, in particular Vinicius, who, once again, I think I want to give my flowers to him because I think he is just... When the controversy isn't clouding the Brazilians' vision, I think he is arguably top 5 players in the world. And I don't think that's a ridiculous claim given how complete his game is. Just want to touch upon his stats with 3 chances created, 6 successful take-ons, 1 assist, which was just a beautiful Trivela assist, and 2 really good goals, which was a 30-yard just screamer, which really reminded me of Cristiano Ronaldo back at his very best. It put Real Madrid 5 points ahead of Girona, as well as 10 ahead of Barcelona and 13 ahead of Atletico Madrid. So it sees Real Madrid in a really good position. Do we think it's over for Girona now? Because I think it's now Real Madrid's title to lose.
Yeah, I think it felt like an inevitability, really. I think we always thought it would get back to this point where Real Madrid, they're the team to beat in Spain, and they've got that history, they've got that ability. You look at this squad, it's one of the best squads in the world. A team like Girona was never really meant to even challenge anywhere close to them. And obviously you want them to have that sort of fairy tale end into the season. You want them to win the league. You want them to have this massive underdog story, but sometimes it's just not physically possible. A team who, let's all be honest, no one expected to be that high up in the league. No one expected to be challenging for the league title. I think if they still manage to secure top 4, which I think they comfortably will, and get Champions League football for next season, I think they can still look back on this season as a very big success. But I think they should start now potentially looking away from challenging for that title and really just securing their top 4 place for next season.
Yeah, I agree. The next game we have is Barcelona conceding 3 to Granada. It was a 3-3 draw in the Nou Camp. Disappointing performance, really, given how low down Granada are. They're 19th in the league. It's a write-off for Barcelona this season. Whether they can beat Napoli or not remains under debate, but Yamal has scored 2 again for the Blaugrana, and Lewandowski with a goal, with Palestri on Granada's side scoring an assist in the Man United loanee. But like I said, it's a write-off season for Barca. Yamal is really the only good thing to come out of this season for them. Once again, proving that he can perform on the biggest stage. It's just a case of whether him, Victor Roque, and Ansu Fati can maybe lead the line for Barca for the next couple of years. So
I've been hearing a lot about this Yamal. I'm not really. I don't mean to sound a bit like rude, but I'm not really familiar with him. Is he someone we should keep an eye on, do you think? Or do you think he could be one of those players who sort of gets off the mark quickly but then slowly fades back into the shadows?
it's definitely quite early to tell. But I think given just being 16 years old and starting for Barcelona really is enough to tell you that obviously the Catalonia side believe in Yamal to lead the side, and he's got the assets of being a good player. He's clinical. He can take men on, and he's, like I said, he's 16. So let's see what happens. I think it's still quite early to tell, but I would for now definitely say he's one to watch.
Oh, it's good to see. Hopefully, something good finally coming for Barca. Cheers, Alice. So the next league we're going to go to is the Bundesliga over in Germany, and for that Michael will be giving us his review of this week.
There's only really one game head and shoulders above the rest, and that's last Saturday's clash between Bayer Leverkusen and Bayern Munich. Let's just be honest and say that Leverkusen absolutely dominated Bayern, not in terms of possession, but in terms of what they did with the ball was keenly impressive, especially when they scored the second goal. Were a lot more maybe defensive in terms sort of in a low block, but goals from Josip Stanisic, who's funnily enough on loan from Bayern, so I think that would be a bit of an awkward reunion if Leverkusen were to win the league. And really good goals by Alejandro Grimaldo, should I say, and a lob from Jeremy Frimpong, which was really, really just what a goal in a game like with the magnitude of it. Absolutely brilliant. But that result leaves Bayern 5 points adrift of Leverkusen, with Leverkusen winning their last three, and this is Bayern have slipped up for the second time now in last 5 games.
Yeah, I saw you mentioning about Stanisic. I saw in the news Thomas Tuchel coming out and criticising the Bundesliga, saying how he wishes there was something in place, obviously like the Premier League and other leagues, where if someone on loan is playing in a game against their parent team, they can't play. Do you think that could potentially be something we see implemented in a worldwide footballing sense, or is it just a case of Thomas Tuchel throwing his toys at the pram a little bit?
I think he's got a point, because obviously in England it's quite regular that players go to another club, but what I do find a bit strange is that when you look at Leverkusen, maybe not traditionally like neck and neck with Bayern in terms of the title, but when they're one of the bigger clubs in the league, surely there's the alarm bell goes in your head where you think, should we really be loaning this player to someone who's maybe that's capable of challenging us for the title? Because effectively they've maybe strengthened an opponent really with a player that they know so well. But then Bayern do have a track record of maybe selling players to other clubs within the Bundesliga, like when they gave Goetze back to Dortmund, or Mats Hummels, and I think you could say, yeah, that's that's sort of strengthening a rival, but they especially with a player like Stanisic, who maybe has a point to prove, and that's the reason why he's gone out on loan, that maybe that it makes it a bit more awkward, because in a game like that where, let's face it, they're going to be the two teams that are really, that one of them's going to win the league, the other one's going to miss out, and if that is Leverkusen, then they've got a player who have, they've got a player on their hands who, when Stanisic goes back to Bayern, that he'll be a bit of an awkward return for him when he goes back in the summer for pre-season.
Is there any other games in the Bundesliga you want to talk about, or is that really the only talking point, considering it felt like that's all it came out of Germany this week in terms of news?
The only really probably striking game was between Wolfsburg and Union Berlin at the I want to say it's the Forestieri. The ground, Union Berlin's ground is based in a forest, but anyways, yeah, they scored in the surprisingly the 45th plus 25th minute of the game because of due to protests. Fans were having of all Bundesliga clubs about the media rights, where a lot of the time it's down to sort of looking into foreign investment, which probably goes against their values as fans. But they were the only team to win, and they've sort of created a little bit of a gap now between them and the relegation spots. But other than that, there's not really been a lot that's like happened in terms of positionally wise, because when you look at the table, and you can look at that at any league, is that it's going to be quite tight between certain teams. It's a dogfight really. Huge win for Union Berlin, and look like they could be moving close to safety.
That's good to see. So the next league we will be looking at is Serie A, and welcome back to Max, the new host. I don't know if I've mentioned it yet. So the two games I wanted to cover were the games between Inter Milan and Roma, and AC Milan and Napoli. So first, going to Inter, they came up 4-2 victors against Roma. Really strong performance for Inter, makes their title bid even stronger now. This looking really like a one-way fight. It was actually a really weird opening to the game. So it was a corner swung in, and it got half cleared, and it sort of half deflected, half looked like he meant to do it. Looping header from Acerbi, which got obviously Inter ahead, but Roma actually replied back and took the lead, going 2-1 up through goals from Mancini and El Shaarawy, both goals assisted by Lorenzo Pellegrini, who was actually exceptional this game, managed to pick up 2 assists and man of the match. But it almost felt like an inevitability for Inter to come back in this game. Marcus Thuram with a double and Bastoni grabbing the winner. This carries on Inter's streak of being unbeaten away from home this season, and when you're looking at the title favourites for the Serie A, I think it's only a one-team fight. I don't think Juventus, they've sort of plateaued and gone a bit downhill in recent form. AC Milan, which I'll cover in a minute, are coming back into the fray, but I can't see anyone else beating Inter. They're looking like a really strong force right now. The next game I want to look at, as I just said, was AC Milan versus Napoli, where AC Milan came up 1-0 victors thanks to a Theo Hernandez goal. A really nice team goal, actually. The ball got played into Giroud from Hernandez. Giroud shifts it wide to Rafael Leao, who spotted an incredible run of Hernandez, who really made up some yardage running from inside his own half to just pick up the ball from a brilliant pass from Leao and smash it home. This leaves AC Milan 1 point behind Juventus after Juve lost 1-0 to Udinese, so it's really blown the title wide open this season. Could AC Milan go for a late title push? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think they can. I think it's just a little bit too far out of their reach. They Inter look unbeatable, and AC Milan, although they're in a good patch of form, they've picked up some good results. They've obviously brought the fight to Juventus. I always just feel like they lack it when it comes to game time, and when it comes to this the business end. I always feel like they fall a bit short. Speaking of falling short, Napoli is still in 9th place after winning the Scudetto last year. It's quite sad, really, to see a team fall that far from grace. Obviously, they got the return of Victor Osimhen now, but I don't think he can turn it round. They've just looked a shadow of their former selves. They haven't looked anywhere near it, and they've got a difficult Champions League tie coming up next week against Barcelona, which sort of just seems like the teams that have fallen from grace derby, really. But any thoughts on Napoli? Why do you think they could have fallen this far down? I don't get it.
I think it could be because of Spalletti, really. That he's so influential and did so much for that club, winning their first title since 1990, and I think it shows that when you have that influential figure, that minute they leave, I think everything changes, and I think you miss that, really, especially for a club like Napoli, who are not really that successful on the sort of domestic stage. But yeah, I think they're gonna they're gonna have to find a way of building their way back, aren't they? especially if they're going to try and look a bit more competent towards trying to get a place in Europe.
Yeah, so that was our roundup of Serie A. Now I'm going to take you through Ligue 1, which is obviously the section formerly known as who have Paris Saint-Germain beat this weekend. And surprise, surprise, they've beat Lille. PSG came out 3-1 victors here. Goals from Gonçalo Ramos, Kolo Muani, and an own goal from Ribeiro was enough to seal them the victory. They increased the lead on not La Liga. They don't play in La Liga. They increased their lead in the Liga and title race. Shock horror. I think they might win the league. I just want to get everyone's thoughts on PSG as a whole. You know, they've sort of felt like I wouldn't say an underperforming side, but they haven't really felt like they've lived up to their full potential in recent years. Do we think they could potentially have some European success rather than just winning the league every year? Or
I think off face value, PSG are really good until they get to the pitch, and then that's when the expectations fall. I really don't like PSG. I don't like the way they play. I don't like what they stand for. I just don't like their sporting values. I think they're no bigger than Borussia Dortmund on a European night, to be honest. I think the stature that they've been held to is crazy, given they've shown no real threat of being competitors up until 1 year where they lost to Bayern. But you know, I have never really seen them as real competitors, to be honest.
I think they're in the middle of maybe identity-wise, because you think when they brought in obviously players like Neymar, Messi, Mbappe, you know, among others like Sergio Ramos, that it was trying to create a statement really and saying, you know, we're gonna fight hard to win the Champions League, because that's really what they want to win. It's no matter how many league titles they win. But I think now they're in an identity crisis, because I think they've sort of gone away from that maybe Galacticos sort of approach, because when you're a club like PSG, it's not like you're playing for Real Madrid, where you know you got that illustrious history of, you know, stretching back decades. It's something that's quite recent, and because of that, I don't see how they can try and be successful in that way, when they might as well just try in a different way, because they've got all the sort of young talent they've let go, because they've prioritised the players, like the superstars. And I think now, because that sort of held them back, I feel like now they're going to have to sort of change their approach as a football club.
And also the most highly anticipated news this week, the Coupe de France was played. Le Puy played Laval and came out 2-1 winners. Jules Meillet is on for a Ballon d'Or for no other reason except the fact he scored a brace in this game. They now face Rennes in the quarter-final. That is mental.
Well, there was one, I think, Rouen. They beat Monaco on penalties, and their next game is against Valenciennes, who are rock bottom of the second division. So we might see a third and fourth division team in the semi-finals.
Well, so the quarter-final games for the Coupe de France are as follows: Le Puy versus Rennes, PSG Nice, Lyon Strasbourg, and let me just get it up. Rennes versus Valenciennes. So all I'm saying is, if Le Puy do win and PSG win, we could see a Le Puy PSG semi-final, and they'll get battered 36-0.
I will be there.
We will be there. But that rounds up our review of our leagues this week. Thank you, boys, for your contributions. And yeah, so we'll now slowly move into our next segment. Right, moving on to our next segment, we're going to be doing a review of the Champions League round of 16. So we had 4 games this week. There's another 4 games next week to make up the first leg of the round of 16s. So everyone's going to take us through each one of the games, starting off with Ellis, who I believe has done shock or Real Madrid.
Yep. To everyone's surprise, we have got Real Madrid once again. Yeah, so Tuesday night, Los Blancos travelled to the Red Bull Arena. We're basically just an injury-plagued Real Madrid side edged a 1-0 win over the new German giants, with Ancelotti's side having the experience edge over the young and talented Leipzig side. Jude Bellingham's absence, so Brahim Diaz get his chance to prove himself, which I spoke about a few weeks ago. I really want Brahim Diaz to have his chance, and he took it with both hands, producing really one of the best Champions League goals I think we'll see this campaign at least. I'm not sure if anyone else did see it, but he took on about 4 or 5 players and killed the top corner. It was.
I want to know how he managed to recover that ball.
Yeah, the way he managed to stay on his feet through all of that was really good. And he was good throughout the whole game, really, producing 4 chances and 6 successful take-ons before eventually grabbing the winner for Real Madrid. He wasn't the only standout player, though, because I believe Andrew Lunin was the man of the match, probably producing one of the best games I've seen from a backup goalie ever. I've never seen a backup goalie play that well. Denying Leipzig of a goal all night, 9 saves and even 7 accurate long balls to show his good distribution skills, really. So once Courtois comes back, it'll be difficult to see who gets the nod where. Maybe we'll see a bit more Lunin in action, and I think rightfully so. I also think it'll be the end of Kepa for Real Madrid.
I was just about to ask. Obviously, I saw on Twitter a few months ago you were a bit angry with a certain Kepa.
Yes.
Do you think, obviously Lunin's quite a young upcoming goalkeeper, do you think now they'll prioritise giving him more minutes just to make sure they've got someone for the future?
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense. The thing is, Lunin is a Real Madrid product. You know, he is at the club, whereas Kepa is only a loan move. Lunin is only 25, so we could see Lunin for the best part of another 10 years at Real Madrid. Courtois, I think, is on the wrong age, on the wrong end of 20 now. He's 31, and he's going to be coming back from an ACL. So it's going to be interesting to see how he performs after that. I do want to touch also upon Camavinga, who really impressed me. He just seemed to be really just natural back in the centre mid role, having played left back for quite a while. He glides across the pitch, and I think that's something you won't see nowadays. I think football has turned quite robotic, whereas you have players like Camavinga who make you appreciate the game a little bit more. I also want to, just touch upon Tchouaméni. Playing centre back a lot more now, given Real Madrid don't have any centre backs available apart from Nacho. He's just a gladiator. He's so good. You have Rice and Rodri in the conversation. I think it's time to put Tchouaméni in the conversation. I think he's been in there for a while, but I think he's gone really under the radar. I think he will be the heir to Casemiro's throne, and like I said, we could see him in this Madrid side for the next 10 years.
Yeah, I always feel like he's left out a bit when it comes to like world conversations about best players, but
yeah, I don't think he gets appreciated enough.
No.
It does lead me to question for the both of you: how far do you think Real Madrid can go in this tournament? Because
as long as they avoid City, I think.
I think this could be a 3-way race of Real Madrid, Man City, and Inter Milan.
I'd back Real to win it if you had 2 things. If you had fit centre backs,
yeah,
and if you had a striker.
I think we could see the return of Militao and Alba before.
Yeah, because they got injured quite early, didn't they?
Yeah, they got injured, within the first few weeks of the tournament, the league tournament. And then obviously Courtois went with them. So I think we could see him back soon, which definitely could see us challenge. I think it will. I'm quite confident we can go all the way this season. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I just think you need to sell Horselu.
Horselu is amazing.
Oh, thanks, Ellis, for giving us the roundup on that one. If you ever want anything to do with Real Madrid, clearly go to Ellis because he knows like the back of his hand. Mike, do you want to take us through the game you reviewed?
I chose Lazio Bayern. It wasn't the greatest game really. Bayern had a lot of chances, but just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, and that's a surprise. They've got Harry Kane, but it was kind of a similar story to Saturday really against Leverkusen, because they had some opportunities. They had better opportunities last night, but just couldn't seem to really trouble Provedel in the Lazio goal. But the penalty really, that effectively won Lazio the game was quite a rare attack from Lazio, and it paid off really good. To good effect for them. Gustav Isaacson made a run into the box, and Upamecano he got the wrong contact catching Isaacson on the follow through on his ankle, and the referee it was a bit of a mad few moments really for the ref, because he's pointing everywhere and sticking his card up in the air. Really, no one had a clue. The commentator took about 20 minutes to realise that it was a penalty, and I think it was kind of harsh, the red. Not because I think he caught him on the ankle, and it's something that's quite serious, but it happens every week. We see it time and time again. Like, there's no consistency in the challenges itself. But moving on from that, Lazio obviously take the 1-goal advantage going into the Allianz. Ciro Immobile, brilliant striker and legend now at Lazio, scoring his 4th goal of this season in the Champions League. But Bayern, if they weren't to win in a few weeks against Lazio, they'll be out of the last 16 for the second time since 2019, after losing to Liverpool on obviously Liverpool's run to their 6th Champions League title.
Bayern looked dreadful.
And Lazio, if they were to win, they could reach the quarters for just the second time, and that was in 2000. Sorry,
mate. They took off Ciro Immobile and bought on Pedro. They're not winning Champions League. When you've got, I watched it. I only watched about half an hour of it because I purely just got bored of it. It was such an awful game. But yeah, when Immobile picked up a knock and had to go off, and I was listening to the commentator, and it was like, oh yeah, here comes 35-year-old Pedro. I was like, what an impact player! That's who you need, Pedro.
I think they've done a good job though, Lazio, because they're obviously pushing to try and get back into the Champions League places and try and solidify it. But I think as long as they might. Don't really want to say this, because I think if there is a Lazio fan listening, if they are,
they won't be. Don't you worry.
Oh well, we've lost one viewer then.
Throwing shots.
If they were to, probably with Roma when they had that Champions League run a few years back, maybe they want something like that and they want that magic, and I think that could be a starting point, and they could maybe be the surprise team. But really, I expect Bayern to really come into their element when they play at the Allianz in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, I can't see them getting past Bayern really. But thanks, Mike. So I'm going to be reviewing Man City versus Copenhagen. Would anybody like to guess the result?
Copenhagen won.
Yeah, they won by 15. No, to no one's surprise really. City won 3-1. Goals from De Bruyne, Foden, and Bernardo Silva give them very good advantage going into the second leg. Copenhagen goal from Magnus Matsson, being really the only spark for Copenhagen, with a goal from midfield. Phil Foden picked up man of the match in this one. I think he's been incredible this season. Just really, in the absence of a lot of De Bruyne this season, he really stepped up and give City a far more attacking outlet. Thierry Henry said that the Champions League was Man City's to lose. Who do we think will win the UCL?
So I think maybe I say Bayern, but it depends on what happens in the league for them. But I think City and Real Madrid, they're they're definites for me.
I can't be the only person thinking this year's Champions League has been a shocking standard.
I think last year, not saying our teams in it were rubbish, but it was the semi-final, especially the semi-final stage. They were just pretty boring games when they obviously when City beat Real Madrid, it was a bit like snooze fest.
traumatizing.
Yeah, I think Madrid.
And there was obviously the Milan derby, which
that was an awful semi-final.
Especially the second leg, 'cause it finished 0-0. Nothing. It just went out of nothing really for a game like that. The magnitude, not just a derby, but a Champions League semi-final. You expect teams going at each other, throwing everything to try and get to that. Try and get all the way to Istanbul.
Also, that should be a war crime if you're playing your away leg in your home stadium. That should be wrong.
As well, if there is any UEFA official out there, hit us up with some tickets for the Champions League final.
I'll go Champions League final.
It's at London, so
I'll check my availability.
Yeah,
I'll do coverage.
If we're not, we'll go to the Europa League one and go to Dublin instead.
Right. I'll be stepping in for Morgan once again. He can pay me for this. I'll be covering the PSG's round of 16 game. They played Real Sociedad. I was actually really looking forward to this game. I thought it could be a lot more of a closer clash than people thought, but at the end of the day it was really just PSG outclassed Sociedad. Goals from Mbappe and Barcolo, giving them a 2-0 let's say advantage going into the second leg. PSG for the Champions League, how far do you think they'll get? Do you think they'll maybe reach semis, or are we seeing them maybe draw like a Real Madrid or Man City in the quarters and then them just sort of peter out?
They'll come into the Bernabeu and crumble, I think. I think they'll get to the... I can't see them getting past the quarters. I think there's way too many teams that are just better than PSG, to be honest.
I think they could potentially make the semis if they get a good draw.
But I think what we just said about maybe Man City and Real Madrid, I think they just got, in terms of personnel, I think they just got better teams, really. And that's just not saying, they're that got an agenda, because I don't really know whether we have an agenda or not.
Basically, I do.
Yeah,
PSG agenda.
But let's be realistic. I just can't see them being that. I don't think they're that team anymore where you go there and think, PSG are playing against this player. It's just it's a different story.
I never understand it though, because you look at their team on paper. Like, this was their starting lineup last night: Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Pereira, Beraldo, Vitinha, Ruiz, Zaire Emery, Dembele, Mbappe, Barcola. Like, how is that team not doing good?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I just literally had some breaking news. Fabrizio Romano exclusive. Kylian Mbappe is now informed PSG he will leave the club in July.
You heard it first, ladies and gentlemen. Fabrizio Romano is now on the show.
It's over for PSG and Kylian Mbappe.
Well, what time to drop that?
Read out their lineup.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, that's actually, to be honest, you think if he does go, I think it might be actually a good thing for PSG, because I think they can, maybe drop that.
They don't need the money.
They might need to just drop that. Look at the first comment. Mbappe to Arsenal. Here we go. Well, there's more chance of the moon. The moon falling out of the sky, really, than that happening.
Well, no, I saw something. Apparently, Mbappe's entourage reached out to Liverpool and Arsenal last year for a potential move, but neither of them were ready to break their financial structure to sign him.
For me, that's a massive worry if you're being given, if they're basically selling the player to you without the club even knowing, because I think it's just, I would say it's a bit unprofessional, because I think, especially like Liverpool and Arsenal, seeing that they're both, I can't really say now Liverpool on a project, seeing that Klopp's leaving, but would they really want to sort of just spend loads of money on one player that can change their fortunes, or will instead it be something where they keep with what they want to do, and because where it says 200 million, that could buy you probably 3 players, couldn't it? And would you really want to buy all that money? You're sort of blowing away your transfer budget on one player. I don't see it really working.
We just had I don't know if anyone amongst myself here knows about David Ornstein, the journalist, but he has also just come out and reported that it's over for Mbappe and PSG.
Looking very.
That's not even the biggest news he's dropped today, to be honest.
I think it's a Real Madrid job now.
Right, LS Mbappe to Real Madrid in 3 words. Go.
Bring him tomorrow.
Next day shipping. Well, that was our roundup of this week's Champions League fixtures. We're actually going to do something a bit different now. Seeing the obviously being Champions League week, we're going to be doing a quiz between. Oh, there's meant to be the three of us, but Michael, you're here. Morgan,
I can leave if you want.
Morgan couldn't make it, so Ellis is this week's quiz master. Each week we will change who asks the questions. So yeah, this week's theme will obviously be Champions League theme. Probably same for next week, and then after that, who knows? If you want to follow along at home, grab yourself a notepad and pen, or grab yourself your notes app on your phone. Grab a chalkboard if you want to. I don't really care.
Or a stick.
But yeah, let us know your answers in the comments. And yeah, Ellis, take us away.
Okay, so it's going to be, unless specified, it's going to be 1 point for each correct answer. So the first question we have is, name the top 5 most successful UCL teams in any order.
Oh, wow. Real Madrid. Liverpool.
I think I got all 5.
Yeah?
Yeah. I got Real Madrid, Liverpool, Milan, Barcelona and Bayern.
Point to Michael.
Wow. I was going to throw a rogue shout in there by Axe, but...
Also, I noticed we're going to do it really quickly, just in case we have any cheaters. We're going to need both phones on the table.
I was just
down.
reading something quite
That
cool.
loud bang is my phone going on the desk. And a smash screen.
We need absolute pureness. Right, okay. 1 point to Michael. How many Spanish teams have won the UCL?
4.
2.
Point to Michael. 2 teams, Real Madrid and Barcelona.
Why do I think Atletico would win?
Because Valencia had quite a few finals. as
Yeah,
well.
I thought my teams were Real, Barca, Atletico, and Valencia. But
Yeah, Valencia have gone far, but not far enough. Okay, so
man's a footballing encyclopedia.
who scored the winning goal in the 2019-20 UCL final?
Kingsley Coman.
Point to Michael.
2019. Oh, I thought 2018,
Yeah,
2019.
PSG Bayern.
I was a year early.
Yeah, that one is the one that no one really remembers.
Yeah,
so
that was a lockdown one, wasn't
Yeah, it
it?
was like
Yeah.
a Sunday night, I think.
Yeah,
Like, it was
I-
a really weird
I
time.
remember watching. It was
Yeah,
an awful
I
game.
picked that one specifically.
Yeah.
Okay, which bottom half Premier League team has seen success on the biggest occasion twice?
Nottingham Forest.
Point to Max.
Yes, I'm back in it.
So it's 3-1 to Michael.
Oh, got it.
Gareth Bale's iconic bicycle kick came from a tactical substitution. Who is he subbed on for?
That was
Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't have a clue.
You have a chance to really catch up here, Max.
Karim Benzema.
Both of you are wrong. Do I give you one more chance? Do you think you can get it with one more chance?
Michael Owen.
I think you might be a bit late there.
Just a bit.
So that was the Bale overhead kick, yeah?
Yeah,
The
good
Kiev
stuff.
final.
Can't think.
I don't think we'll go.
Lucas Vasquez.
Vasquez?
We'll go
Okay.
with Marcelo.
Okay. You were both wrong. It was Isco.
Oh, I forgot Isco was a thing.
Yeah. Okay, so it's still 3-1 to Michael.
Going home.
Who has the top 5 most assists? And I'll give you 1 point for each correct answer.
So top 5 most assists in Champions League.
Yeah.
Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
Zinedine Zidane.
No.
Got it.
Raul.
Not a bad show. Ronaldo.
I think Raul was up there until a certain point.
Yeah. Ronaldo.
Ryan Giggs.
Ryan Giggs is correct.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you have to just think like longevity
Yeah,
of players.
Ronaldo, Messi, Giggs.
There's going to be one which is obvious and you both should have got by now. And there's one that I don't think you'll get.
Obvious and should have got by now.
Thomas Muller.
Thomas Muller is incorrect.
Neymar.
Neymar is correct.
So Ronaldo.
I'll give you one guess each for the last one.
Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar, Giggs.
Don't have close.
Yeah, you've got to try to think of someone who's played it for ages.
I wouldn't even say this guy has played for like stupidly long. He's just had a very good career.
Can we have a team?
Current team is a team in Portugal.
Is a team? Oh, Jesus. Not what I was thinking then. Current team is a team in Portugal.
5 seconds.
Oh,
No.
it's like Rodriguez or something. I don't know.
James Rodriguez does not play in.
There's like another one. There's like one. Oh, Raul Gonzalez. I don't know.
I'm gonna need an answer, Max.
Angel Di Maria.
Correct.
Oh, ball knowledge.
So that's a 4-pointer for Max and 1 for Michael, which
Unreal skill.
does see it to a Max lead.
Yeah,
5-4.
check the maths.
I've
Check the
bought
maths.
it. I've bought it back.
I do believe it's Max slightly edging it. Okay. Which manager has the most UCLs?
Ancelotti.
Wow, that was quick.
That was very quick.
Correct. So, it's a tie with
Yeah.
3 questions left.
Oh no.
Ronaldo with 183 and Messi with 163 sit first and third respectively at the top of the most appearances in the UCL. But who is second?
Raul.
Raul's gold. I know he's high for goals.
Or Iker Casillas.
I'm going to have to take your first answer.
Right, I've just given you enough for goal now.
Casillas.
It was like a Casillas
Damn it.
Thank you.
with 177.
What? That's how many games he played? Ah, to be fair, yeah, he was in goal for
He was played. Yeah,
Real when he was about 16.
yeah, he debuted in the Champions League when he was 16. He actually had a phone call from whilst he was in school, and
Yeah, I've seen the story
a
of
few
this.
hours before he was in classroom with his friend, and then a couple of hours later he's on a plane with Clarence Seedorf and Zidane.
They played with him.
So that's an interesting one. What player is the only player to win the UCL with 3 different clubs? And I'll give you a bonus point for each club that you mentioned that he's played for.
Clarence
That he's won.
Seedorf.
What clubs has he played for?
AC Milan, Real Madrid, and Juventus.
Okay, so you can take 2 points from that.
Woohoo!
So I believe that is... I think you were winning by
Ajax.
1.
Yeah.
You got Ajax.
I can't give you the point.
Stop trying to nick points. I only
I'm
remember.
trying to just claim things now.
I can't give you the point.
I only know that 'cause he's Mr. Champions League, isn't he?
Yeah, that one was a bit of a hipster one. So
A bit of an indie one.
yeah, bit of an alt one. Okay, so final question. You can draw the game. You can seal the win. So, what languages is the infamous Champions League anthem sang in? And I'll give you a point for each language spoken in.
Italian, French, Spanish, and German.
You've had 2 correct.
No.
English.
English is correct.
Oh, I should have known that. It literally says the champions in it.
Fortunately for you, Max, that's the only 3 languages they spoke in. So you are the
Yes!
week's winner.
Come on.
To be fair, I've got VAR here. When that Nottingham Forest question, not saying it would have made much difference. He said Champions League, but before 1992 it was actually the European Cup.
Well, you know what I meant.
Oh, come on.
Stop your mourning.
It's not going to be Luton Town, is it? Let's be honest.
Right, so that was our quiz for the week. This will be a new bit we do each week. It'll be in different parts of the show. We just did it this week because it made the first one. But obviously next week Ellis will be having questions asked to him, and obviously Morgan will be here next week as well. So it should make for a really interesting. We'll do a little table. We'll keep a track
Enough time for me to cheat.
for the rest of the season. Yeah, the little encyclopedia of football. But now we'll go on to our last part of the show, which is our preview for the week. So we'll be previewing our leagues and also previewing next week's Champions League games. Hello. So we were going to do the preview of our leagues for this week, but we've all realised that the games are not worth talking about because they are, let's just say, underwhelming. So what we're going to do instead is a Champions League preview. We've got the 4 games coming up next week. So we'll not both, because there's 3 of us, we'll all individually take you through a game each and give you our thoughts, our players to watch, and some predictions. So Alice, why don't you take us away?
I've got Inter and Atletico Madrid. I am really looking forward to this game. I really like Inter Milan, to be honest. I like the way they play football. I think they've gone from a defensively sound team to a just attacking monster of a side. You have Lautaro Martinez. You have like players like Cuadrado who can make a difference. Sanchez, Thuram. You have all these players behind, in front of like Çalhanoğlu, Mkhitaryan, Barella. I think it's going to be a really good game. Atletico will have to prove themselves. Will Griezmann be able to do it? Can he carry Atletico once again? I'm not so sure. I think this time Inter will go through. It's going to be a really close game, though. I will say that. And yeah, let's just see how it goes. You have, like I said, Martinez and Griezmann going head to head. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-1 win for Inter Milan.
Yeah, I can see Inter quite comfortably winning that, really.
Yeah.
Cheers, Alice. So, Michael, do you want to give us your review for your game?
Yeah, I'm going to be covering PSV Dortmund. PSV are really doing well this season. But I think Dortmund, I don't think they're a dark horse for the Champions League, but I think you got to give them credit for winning the group of death that they had when they were put up against PSG, AC Milan and Newcastle. But PSV have done really well. They finished second in the group to Arsenal, which they lost 6-0, I think. Yeah. But other than that, they've not really done anything wrong in the Champions League. They've got, as I said, they're top of the league. In Dortmund, they're in really good run of form at the moment. That was going to be Dortmund were going to be my pick for Bundesliga because they are really turned a corner since Christmas. But I think there's a lot to talk about with this game because I think it's two teams that have got a lot of probably have got the futures ahead of them, I should say, if I can stop stuttering. But I think you've got a game there that between two sides that we could really enjoy. Like I was going to talk about the players I was going to watch, and one of them was going to be Marcel Sabitzer, who joined from Bayern Munich. Sort of had a bit of a, wouldn't say rough, but a very maybe inconsistent time after joining from Leipzig. But he's got 2 assists, and his assists have been quite important because they came against both Milan and Newcastle, which is important, especially for a team like for Dortmund, because you think, I don't know if you've seen it, but before the Champions League began, there was multiple variations of how that group was going to pan out, but Dortmund managed to finish on top of maybe against, I'd say all the odds, but they did really well. And the player I was going to look at for PSV was Johan Bakayoko, who I think last year he was close to moving to Brentford, but didn't end up moving for, I think it was for just personal reasons. He didn't want to move that soon. But he's got 1 goal, 1 assist, and they both came against Lens, who, when you look at the Group B table, Lens were just behind PSV by just, I think, a couple of points. But I think he's sort of a player that, if he does showcase himself on this world stage, I think he will definitely, I think he'll definitely get some suitors for the summer, because I just can't see how some especially in the Eredivisie, how they can keep players like when they're sort of thriving. But that should be a good game, and I think it might be quite an entertaining 2-2 draw.
Be an interesting game for sure. Obviously Dortmund coming up with our group of death in quotation marks, because I think it was a bit overhyped. But yep, cheers, Mike. So I'm going to be going over Napoli-Barca, which seems to be like the fall from grace derby, we'll call it that. Both really struggling form this season. unusual, really, because Napoli was so high last year. We sort of expect it now from Barca, given their recent history. But Barca have really struggled with injuries this year. They're without key players such as Balde, Javi, and João Felix. Barca actually haven't lost against Napoli in their last 6 games against the Italian side, winning 4 of the games and drawing 2. So they've obviously got that historical record in their favour. My player to watch for the game will be Ilkay Gundogan. I think he's been one of Barca's only real impressive players this season. He picked up 6 assists in a very misfiring Barcelona side, so I think he could be someone in midfield who could be a key difference. I'm also going to do Porto Arsenal because that's meant to be Morgan, but he's not here. Lots of people have seen it as a one-way tie. People have seen it as Arsenal to just walk it. I don't think it'll be that easy. Porto are unbeaten in 9 games at home. Arsenal do. Historically, they have struggled on the European stage. They've never really been a nailed-on guarantee for a win. But I think, do Arsenal carry on with the Champions League and potentially hamper their league progress, or do they maybe focus less on the Champions League and focus more on the game? Only time will obviously tell, but I think it'll be a really interesting game. I do see Arsenal just about, not going to say squeezing, because I think they will win, but not comfortably. I think they'll get through this one quite relatively easily. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win, and my player to watch will be a man by the name of Leonardo Trossard, who I've been really impressed with this year. I think he's made a massive impact coming from the bench. So that is our UCL preview. The last little bit we want to do is Donkey of the Week, which is usually my segment, but I think, have you two got your own ones this week, boys?
I'll quickly go through mine. Mine is going to be Horselu. In the 4-0 win over Madrid, over Girona, a penalty was awarded. Ancelotti was seen calling Carvajal and Tchouaméni to give it to Arda Güler. Horselu was aware of this and decided to take the penalty instead, which he ended up missing.
Good on him. What a way to make your impact.
So instead of giving an 18-year-old his first goal, he decided to take it himself and ended up missing.
That probably would have been a massive boost in Güler's confidence.
It would have been really, really good.
Really weird. My Donkey of the Week is carrying on with my agenda against Barcelona. It's Hansi Flick for saying he would love the Barcelona job. Why, as a manager, you would say that, I'd never know.
Donkey of the year.
Donkey of the century. Get him sacked from managerial everything. But no, that is our episode of Football Fantastical for this week. Obviously, sorry we were down to 3. Morgan couldn't control what happened. Something just came up. But he will be back next week. He will probably be hosting again, so I will be demoted back to sitting in my little corner, sadly. Actually, I'm not even going to come back now. I'm
peaked.
Kylian Mbappe, if you would like to join Football Fantastical on a free transfer, get in touch. But apart from that, check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Twitter as well. I need to get our Twitters up. Do you boys know your Twitters?
Yeah. At Michael Addison T on X, not Twitter. X.
Mine's Max Drinkwater9 on X, not Twitter.
Please follow me on Instagram. Ellis Liu Journalism.
I'll just get Morgan's up, so he doesn't feel left out either. And if you want to follow Morgan, it's Morgan_S12 on Twitter or X. But that's all from us this week. We'll be back next week, bringing you a similar sort of show, mainly Champions League focused, but with a different feature and hopefully with another co-member. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify.
And give us views on YouTube, please.
And give us views on YouTube. We've now got a YouTube account.
Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell when you hear a video come out every week.
Everyone give me one word to sum up this Champions League week. Go.
Football heritage. That's 2 words.
Awful.
Refund.
We'll see you next week, and goodbye.